Hi, my name is Daniel Foley Carter, and what I'm doing here is I'm just going to give a very top level demonstration of SEO Stack. Now, I've been developing SEO Stack now for nearly 2 years, and we are behind schedule, unfortunately, and we're just in the process now at the minute of rolling out enough tools so that we have a wide enough range of tools for people to really benefit from. I could have rolled this out a lot earlier, but the thing is that generally if you're going to deploy a SaaS, you don't want people to come in when it's early on and then there's not much in there and then they leave because they don't see much value. On the other side of it, the development of this has been extremely complex and difficult because of what we're actually doing. So as it turns out, there's a good reason why there aren't many tools out there that do what this does. And then we've got other things to factor in. So for example, user experience, design, layout, and we're just about to deploy a new bootstrap that will bring this forward in terms of how it looks, because at the minute it still looks and feels a bit archaic. But anyway, setting that aside, so SEO Stack is a multifaceted SEO SaaS, and the point of SEO Stack is to do a number of things. So the first thing that SEO Stack is designed to do is it's designed to give you greater access to the data that Google holds on your site. And it's also designed to be able to sub-process that data so that we can do more in respect of understanding how Google's treating content on a domain. Now, anyone that uses SEO Stack, Search Console, will already know about the limitations imposed by Search Console. So these could be things such as, only getting 16 months of data, only being able to view 1,000 queries or 1,000 pages. We've really worked to basically work with GSC API, Google BigQuery, and turn it into an interface where we can get that data, reprocess it, and help you to make better decisions about the different things that you might be doing as part of your SEO strategy. So I'm just going to do a really quick run through, and so I'll just pick a random project. Now, SEO Stack, once you set up an account and you add your website, it will store the first 16 months of data that it gets, and then every day from that point onwards it will do a daily cron and it will stack the data. So that was one of the reasons why it was called SEO Stack, because it was designed to stack and store data. So what I'm going to do a side-by-side between Search Console and SEO Stack for the same project. So here we've got myofficepods.com, and here it is in SEO Stack, and here it is in GSC. Now in GSC, if I go and I want to go as far back as I can, last 16 months, the furthest I can see back is September the 5th, 2021. Okay, so that is the max data I'll ever be able to get. And tomorrow I'll only be able to see back to September the 6th. Okay. In SEO Stack, however, if I now select the date picker, I can go back to the 25th of January 21. So you see here, this will only go back to September the 5th, 2021. This goes back to the 25th of January 2021. So we've got 9 months of data on top, 8-9 months of data on top. But the thing is that every day that goes past, we've retained that first data point. Okay, so in a year, we'll have 2.5, 3 years worth of GSC data. And that will continue indefinitely. Now, this is really good because we can look over data that's historic. We can get a better understanding of how things change, how a site might have lagged over time. 16 months really isn't enough time. So think of this as a time capsule, basically. Now, not only are we storing the click data, and bear in mind, obviously it will get unwieldy if you start looking at excessive data points. But my point is that, I could look at 16 months from the 25th of the 1st. I can see data here. Let me just hide the algo update. That I can no longer see in GSC. Okay. But we don't just store that. We store everything. So we store every single keyword, all of the click data, we store all of the pages data, we store all of the country and device data. And we are just about to roll out search appearance and a couple of other things from GSC API. So this means that not only are you storing your data, but you've got access to all of that. So you've got access to every single keyword. You can export into CSV, into PDF. All of that data is available and stored for you. Now, when you first come into SEO Stack and you first load the tool, if you're looking at longer time frames like we are here, so we're looking at 2 years of data. On the first load, it can take a little while to go and process all of that data. But what it will do is once it's done that, it will cache it locally. So after the first bit of waiting, it will then go and it will be available instantaneously. Because obviously it has to go back through all of the historic data and then basically redraw the chart on that. So it can take a little while. So the limitations, obviously, that we have in GSC also stem down to the volume of keywords that we can see, as well as the volume of pages. I think it is taking a little bit longer than expected. So what I'll do while we wait for that, it can take like a couple of minutes if there's a lot of data. Okay, so while we wait for that to do its thing, if we go to the first data point, okay, and we go down here, you can see that there's 2,058 keywords. So in GSC, 1,000 keywords, SEO Stack, 2,000 keywords, okay? And if I want, I can export that into a CSV, PDF. I can export queries and pages, queries or pages alone. So if I now open this, you will see that I have all 2,058 keywords. If you've got 10,000 keywords, 50,000 keywords, 100,000 keywords, you can get every single piece of data. I think, unfortunately, that has locked up. Now, the other thing that you can do with SEO Stack is that you can layer queries. So in GSC, let's say I want all of the queries that contain the word pod, okay? Then I want to exclude a query containing office. Well, I can't do that in GSC, but in SEO Stack we can. So in SEO Stack I can do new query, and I've got queries containing regex, okay? So I can do queries containing pod, now, for anyone that's using it, we've got like a little blue line indicator up here that just shows when the tool's busy. So here is our filter for pod. Now I can also click query and I can layer it and do not containing office. So I can layer my filtering to the point where you can't filter any further. So we can see here that I've got all of my pod queries excluding office. So I've layered, okay? Now you can layer queries and you can layer pages at the same time. So you can do URLs containing or URLs not containing. So we wanted to make it so that not only could you get more data, but you can also do more filtering, okay? Now, the next thing with SEO Stack, I'm going to keep moving this out the way. In fact, I'm actually going to shrink it. So the next thing that we can do with SEO Stack that is really effective is that we can basically add annotations, or we can see algo updates. So for example, if I select algo update, I can see every time that there's been a confirmed or unconfirmed update. Now we are going to change it to have two different sliders, one for confirmed algo updates and one for non-confirmed algo updates. And we've got a new chart filter section here, which hasn't got anything here yet, but it will. What it will do is it will allow you to select what kind of algo update you want to see, whether it's content, whether it's links. So that will go in there. So we can click on an algo update. Now, not all of them are confirmed. Not all of them will have data behind them. But we can click on different ones to see, if I select one that actually has a update. So we've got July product reviews update here. So every time that there is an update, we can click on it. And obviously, providing that there is update information there, it will come up and show what there is. Okay, so we've got this algo update functionality. Okay, but what we can also do is we can do what's called global annotations. So a global annotation is if you are doing a site-wide change. Okay, so let's say you're changing the entire navigation of the site. So what you can do is you can use the annotation feature on top of GSC data. So you can click annotation and you can say, is it a site-wide annotation or is it a URL level annotation? You can put changed the entire website navigation and I don't know, made a copy of the old navigation here. You can paste the link. Basically, you can put anything as a reference point. Okay, and then we can say what it was that we did. So we can say it was a navigation change. And depending on the kind of change, you know, if you're working on content, you might want to put what your inlinks NLP score is. So you might have done some content or something like that. You might want to put what your trust flow is, how many referring domains you've got, if you've done any link changes. So for example, these boxes here are really flexible. You can use them as you want, but if you were doing like content reoptimization, for example, you would select content reoptimization and then you would put in your inlink score. So it might be that you've improved it to 80. Okay, we are going to drop in Surfer, Page Optimizer Pro and some other tools so that you can just benchmark whatever score you want. If you're doing link building to the URL, you know, you might put link building and then put your trust flow and whatnot. So that stuff is there. And then SEO Stack will email you if it detects as a result of what you've been doing, if it can see out of scope background changes. We are still working on the email alerts at the minute, and that is something that we're really going to bolster. You can put when you made the change. So let's say for this client, I don't know, we made it in October, and we can put our annotation author. So we can say who in our team did it, and then we can click add annotation. Okay. So what that now means, now the other thing as well, so we are making ongoing improvements to it. Once you've added the annotation, you have to refresh or just change the date or just basically reselect one of the filters that you've got and it will redraw the chart with the annotation. So here we can view, so that was an earlier annotation. Here we can view the annotation that we've made. So this is a site-wide annotation, okay, and this will basically be overlaid on top of Search Console data. Now the benefit is that we can also run algo updates next to it, so we can look to see what's happening over time. Okay, so that's just the Search Console interface. We've got other tools, so we are rapidly developing tools at the minute for SEO Stack. There's still a lot of functionality to come. So this is really early days for SEO Stack. Some of the other things, so we have database tools. So we have something called query row counting tools. This uses Google BigQuery and we automate the counting of data rows. So what this effectively allows us to do is it allows us to understand how a page is weighted by how often it's been served for queries. So this is a quality indicator. Obviously, you have to use this in balance. Now, what we also do, and we are working on additional API integration. So we have got Ahrefs and Majestic API integration. But effectively, what it allows me to do is I can map against URL. So for example, I can see a URL, how many queries it's got, how many of those queries actually generate a click, how many zero-click queries there are, how old the page index is. I can do an internal link count to see how many internal links something has. We'll also pull in external referring domains and domain rating. This should actually say UR rating. We pull in Majestic data so we can see trust flow for different URLs. We do run a cron for status code, but at the minute we're working on that because a lot of sites that we try and poll chuck a 503, chuck a server error, or block like a CDN. So we are working on that. Then what we can do is we can visualize the query weighting of any URL on a domain over time. So this really allows us to better understand how Google is treating pages on our site. Now, we do this at a URL level, but we're building a new module that will take the whole domain and it will automatically generate a report to show what is on an upward trajectory, what's stagnant, what's volatile, what's in a downward trajectory. So what we can do with this data is that, again, because we stack the data, we have something called an FTP, first data point. So from whenever you import a site, the day that you import that site, the 16 months before that, sets your first data point. So whenever you're looking at GSC data, GSC derived data, queries, or anything like that, they will automatically be in all of the tools. Okay, so what are we looking at here? So we're looking at over time, we're looking at the volume of queries associated with a URL. Now, don't need to worry about the drop off here because it's January and we've only got 6 days at the minute. So you could customize the date and set a custom date just to show to the stop point here. But anyway, I'm not going to worry about that for now. And effectively what we can do is we can see if a page is being served more or more over time. Okay, so there are correlative factors. The more something is served, generally the more weighting it's got behind it. There are nuances to that, but generally that model works really well. So with our annotations, okay, so we've got global annotations and we have local annotations. Okay, so the global annotation, basically, that shouldn't have appeared 4 times, but the global annotation will go across every URL, and then we can add URL level annotations. So we can say at a specific URL what we did, and then we can add the annotation against the URL. Okay, so that means if we're changing content, if we're building new links, if we change above the fold content, center fold content, lower fold content, what it effectively allows us to do is have a correlative line, and then we can look for query count changes as a result of the work that we do. And what's more is that we can also view the queries for any specific month. Okay, so we can click view at the bottom of each to see what queries are served that month. And again, you know, there's a lot of functionality still being brought in, so we're going to export, we'll show what queries are lost and gained and whatnot. So here I can see over time, you know, that all the way up until June last year we peaked, then obviously it's dipped a little bit this year. We can overlay clicks, okay, and we can overlay impression data, and we can also drill down. Okay, so I might want to see how many queries are at position 1 to 3 and 4 to 10, and we can see here that the volume of queries position 1 to 3, 4 to 10 sort of peaked around May last year. They've dipped off a little bit, or leveled off, should we say. So we had a peak, they've leveled off here. You know, so we can see over time this URL is gaining on positions 1 to 3, 4 to 10. I can also drill to other position groups to see what's going on. So this is a really good way of visualizing the weight and understanding. And then we have the table here so we can actually look at the numbers or export them should we need to. Okay. This is going to be really, really effective at being able to say, you know, what change did we make in 1 month? Did we see anything as a result of it? But we're not using clicks as the end part, because we're working on the journey up to getting clicks as opposed to at getting clicks. Trying to benchmark clicks from an SEO experimentation point of view is flawed, because clicks naturally change from day to day. So it's really hard to use that as a model. But if we're looking at how often Google serves a piece of content as a way of benchmarking, it's a far more effective way to be able to look for correlative improvements or declines as a result of something that we're doing. And again, because we overlay this with algo, although it does still make it more difficult to derive, we still have a log of what's been done, and we can look for correlations outside of core updates too. And we're working on loads of new filters. This is a slightly older version of SEO Stack. We do have a newer version, but I'm not going to use it for the demonstration video because it does have some bugs at the minute. But we have lots of new filters. So if you plot NLP scores, content scores, links or anything like that, you'll be able to select them and you'll be able to show them. So if you select in any 1 month when you've added links or done anything, you'll be able to draw those onto the chart as well. Now, there's lots of other tools for the purpose of not making this video too long. We have other data tools. So we have URL query counting tools. We've got a query discovery tool. So for example, we can look at, we can build a keyword cloud. We can also look at the intent profile of queries on a domain. We segment by intent, so we can basically look over a longer time frame. We can look at how many of the queries are informational, navigational, transactional. We can then say, okay, well, we want to see all the transactional intent queries, so we can click view. And then it will get all of the transactional queries here. And the same if we want to see research intent. So we can see all of these. And we'll be able to download these as well. And we have top query data on top. We also have content tools. So we have content NLP tools. Now we use the inlinks integration. Although there are lots of content tools out there at the minute, we use inlinks primarily because from an SEO perspective, it's the one that I've had the best experience with in terms of it having a better model for content and for content quality and topical coverage. So you can come in here, you can pick a URL on your domain. So this one here is for large pods, so I can click content score. The lead click by query and by impression isn't relevant because it's for large pods. So we can do large pods to override. We can select our target country. And then we can click save. Okay. And what that will now do is it will now go and generate a brief for a writer. Now, if you see here, we've got briefs earlier. So we can click NLP brief. And then we've got our inlinks brief. So we can take a look at SERP analysis, keywords, question, content structure. That's all been done for you. Okay, so we've got that. We have real-time content auditing as well. So we can select a time frame and we can look at the composition of the index. And we have performance, we have trend data. So by month we can look at what it looks like over time. We also have... so we have a keyword cloud. It's not actually in the menu yet. I think it's keyword cloud. No. No, I'm not sure it is. We have a keyword cloud. What it will do is it will draw a cloud of queries based upon Yeah, I need to find the link for that. 1 second, let me find the link for it. Okay, so here we go. Word cloud. So it's called Query Cloud. So there are still lots of tools that aren't actually in the navigation yet that are still being worked on. So we have a Query Cloud. Now, instead of traditional keyword clouds, what a traditional keyword cloud will do is it will take all of the content from your page and it will generate a keyword cloud based upon the density, basically, of how many times something appears. This, however, is different. This is based off of Search Console data. So this is taking all of the things that Search Console is serving your pages for, and it will generate a cloud from that. So this is a much better way of doing it because we're building the cloud from what Google's serving. So the more Google serves something, the more prominent the terms are. So we can actually start seeing where more of the weighting is at page level. Anyway, there's plenty of other tools. We've got things like Rank Intelligence tool, which again, we're also building. We've got cannibalisation tools. We've got hreflang and canonical tools. Loads and loads of stuff at the minute is being worked on. I'm not sure why that's not loading at the minute. Anyhow, so yeah, there's lots to come. You know, we are still, this is pre-beta, so it's not even at beta stage yet. It's pre-beta. This year is going to be a big year for SEO Stack. It will have a new interface. We'll get lots of the tools finished. It will be a lot more stable. So one other thing as well, actually, just before I go. We also have what's called annotation reporting, where if you're implementing changes on your client's site within the project, what you can actually do is you can create a log of all the annotations. So when you add an annotation globally or at URL level, it will build a report. So if you've got like a team of 5 people, someone writing content, someone building links, as they work, all of the annotations can be built up and mapped over the URLs to show whether or not they're having an impact. And you can also export these into a CSV or a PDF. So you could do a report for a custom time frame, last 7 days, 28 days, or a custom for last month. Dump it as a PDF and then you can send it to the client. In the upcoming modules, we're going to do PDF reporting with the visualization charts. And the visualization chart will show the annotation against the chart. And then that way you can go back to a client and say, this month we did this. Here it is on the annotation map. Here are the things that we're looking to see from it. And it also helps to justify, changes that might take some time to come to fruition. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the tool. Head to SEO-audits.io. Go to the footer and there are social links. My name is Daniel Freddie Carter if you want to look me up on LinkedIn. If you have any questions, do feel free to reach out. Have a nice day. And don't forget to subscribe.